Welcome back, true believers and spectacular Spidey fans, to another Spider-Man PS4 related video, and I have this entire video to thank to Brian Ingold. This is his idea, and it is actually a very probable idea that will most likely happen for Spider-Man PS4, given the fact that it is a PS4 exclusive, which means that all of the assets that Sony can provide to Insomniac Games will be implemented for this game, and they will give them so many opportunities to make this the greatest Spider-Man game ever made. And also, they would want to make this a very vast, fun, never-ending game that players can feel like they can do anything they want in this game and continue to do anything they want after they beat the game once they complete the story. And that is kind of what Infamous Second Son did, with what Sucker Punch did with that game, as well as with what Uncharted 4 did, with just the story itself and trying to find collectibles and the multiplayer aspect of the game. There is just tons of different things that PS4 exclusives do that make their players feel like they want to stay in this world forever and just keep on doing the things that make them feel like the character that they are playing as. And in regards to Spider-Man, in that case, they would want to make it so that they can continue to feel like Spider-Man, not just with traversal, but with endless side missions. And not just endless side missions, but new endless side missions that we have not seen in any Spider-Man game up to this point. Now, a problem that has occurred with recent open-world Spider-Man games, the Amazing Spider-Man games, to name a few, they had extremely repetitive side missions in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 after you beat the campaign, and all you had to do was just keep playing those missions over and over and over again to raise your hero meter to not be a menace. And even the hero menace system was such garbage in that game. I'm sorry. I never thought I would actually dislike a Spider-Man game because I'm such a huge Spider-Man fan, but that game did the cake for me. And even with the Amazing Spider-Man 1, it was not nearly as bad as the Amazing Spider-Man 2, but after you beat the game and did all the side missions that were there already, you could do nothing else. There was literally nothing else to do in that game after you beat the story and just completed the few side missions that were on the map for New York. And that is where the problem lies with the recent Spider-Man games. But of course, Insomniac Games is one of the most talented gaming developers out there, and they have done their research for Spider-Man. They know, they are their Spider-Man fans themselves. They would not let us down by any means in regards to the story, gameplay, and traversal, and all the things that will come for this next generation Spider-Man game. And that would go to trying to make yourself immersed within the world of New York City and be Spider-Man, and actually feel like you are Spider-Man with brand new non-repetitive missions, which is what Brian's idea is that what if there is going to be brand new crimes that we have not seen before in any Spider-Man game yet. And the majority of the crimes in Spider-Man games have kind of been the same. We have had, in the open world Spider-Man games I should say, we have had falling civilians, or we have had situations where we have to save civilians, we have had burning buildings, we have had just people causing crime in the streets, people chasing, people stealing cars, which Spider-Man has to chase them afterwards, and just random things that happen across the city, if that is a person just, driving angry, or Spider-Man is having to deliver some pizzas, stuff like that. So with Insomniac, given what they did with Sunset Overdrive, we can expect new crimes that we have not seen before. And again, the standard crimes that we have seen have ranged from just fighting criminals in the street, to chasing cars, to saving people, and etc. With Insomniac, given what they did with Sunset Overdrive, we have a lot more opportunity and vastness to explore with regards to not just Spider-Man's power set, but with the type of things that we can see in the huge world of New York City that we will be able to explore. If Sunset City had tons of things to do, you can bet your butt New York City will have tons of things to do, especially for a Spider-Man game. Now, with Sunset Overdrive, since that was their first open-world game, they had traversal challenges that you could do, and they had side missions for you to do in order for you to get more customization items or upgrades for your weapons, whether that was talking to Floyd or one of the gang leaders that you could associate yourself with and just help out in the city, or just defeat enemies that were totally rampaging through Sunset City. Now, in regards to other Spider-Man games, I would compare Sunset Overdrive to Web of Shadows. Since it was an apocalyptic game, there were the OD running around everywhere causing a hazard everywhere they went, destroying things, causing a ruckus for you as the player, And for Web of Shadows, it was the same thing. You could just swing around. There were people in the streets. Even before the symbiote apocalypse, there were criminals in the street trying to just shoot up the streets and, kill the cops and even destroy Spider-Man and the other gangs. Which is why I love Web of Shadows. It would feel like what would happen if a real gang war happened. They would just be fighting in the streets, making it a firefight and causing people to get caught in the middle of that firefight, hurting and endangering their lives everywhere they went, since it is a huge gang war going on in the city. Which is what Web of Shadows did such a good job of. They had so many different gangs, especially during the symbiote apocalypse, where the symbiotes were running around, with shield agents were going around, where you could defeat the symbiotes, and then sometimes the shield agents would get infected with the symbiote, or if you did enough side missions, there would be little assets in the shields that you could put the civilians in to make them safe, where you could grab nukes, like little mini nukes, and drop them near the symbiotes, or curing bombs, where you could just blast it near the symbiotes, and that way the people would be separated from the symbiote, and you can just send them back to S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters or a nearby force field to make them feel safer. Now, with Spider-Man PS4, it's a fully next-generation Spider-Man game, with all the assets being provided to Insomniac Games to make this one of the greatest Spider-Man games ever made. And you can bet that there will obviously be crimes, random crimes just happening around the city, like good old Spider-Man 2 days. There will most likely be side missions kind of related to Peter Parker as well. Little bit with what the Amazing Spider-Man 2 did, where you could do some investigation missions as Peter, and you had to go into certain places that Spider-Man could not go, which is a good idea on paper, but the execution that was put into the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was not as good. Now, with this Spider-Man game, we could most likely see things that we have not seen in a Spider-Man game before, which would probably range from interactions with other characters that Peter knows. Again, I said this in my Peter Parker gameplay videos that I did. We could probably go on dates with people. We could probably interact with people that Spider-Man or Peter knows. If there are going to be other heroes in this game, you could do side missions specific to those heroes. If Human Torch is going to be in the game, Captain America, Iron Man, Daredevil, whoever you could think of, maybe there will be some certain missions that you have to do with those certain heroes that you could probably do as Peter or Spider-Man. And again, there will probably most likely be traversal challenges that are different from races, because there have been races in Spider-Man games, mainly Spider-Man 2 and Ultimate Spider-Man. However, there have not been enough dynamic races that we have seen, unless you count Sunset Overdrive, which had parkour traversal challenges. And since there's going to be a whole parkour mechanic for Spider-Man in this game, there will most likely be challenges devoted to his parkour skills, challenges devoted to his web-slinging skills, and challenges devoted to his combat skills. And again, since you have Spider-Man and Peter in this game, since there is going to most likely be Peter gameplay in this game, the missions that you could do as Peter could be vastly different and maybe even more difficult as a normal citizen compared to a big-time superhero. And what that could be is, again, I don't know if you're going to be delivering pizzas in this game, but maybe Peter has to deal with life at the Daily Bugle and maybe his personal life as Peter. We still do not know if people know, certain people in Spider-Man's life know that Peter is Spider-Man, like Mary Jane or Aunt May. We still not know, even though this is an experienced Spider-Man, that could be the case, but we still do not know if Peter is keeping this a secret from the people he loves, which could be cool to see as interactions. Side mission-wise, we could probably just defeat people in the streets. We could fight people on rooftops, maybe explore hideouts like the good old Spider-Man 2 days. We could find criminal hideouts from the Inner Demons or other gangs that are going to be in this game. There are going to be mainly civilians in danger, and what we saw with the burning building, where Spider-Man is running up that building, we don't know if that is a main mission or a side mission. I would expect it to be a side mission because I would think it'd be awesome to run into buildings and trying to save civilians that are almost getting caught in the flames, and you, being the hero that you are, save them through the burning buildings and make that more dynamic than the Amazing Spider-Man 2, because what they did in that game was very haphazardly handled and not very fun at all. With this game, it looks much more dynamic, with the building exploding and you having to run up the building and try and save civilians, which is going to be a really fun task to do. And maybe, kind of like with what Batman Arkham Knight did, there were certain side missions devoted to certain enemies, so maybe they could take a few cues from that game. Maybe you have to go investigate the sewers and see if the lizard's doing anything. Maybe you have to investigate certain things at night. Maybe with Morbius is in the game, the living vampire. All these types of things really would be really cool and would add a lot of variety and vastness and a lot of fun to this game to make it a really amazing experience, especially in a fully next-generation Spider-Man game made by Insomniac Games. Again, what they did with Sunset Overdrive was very, very exceptional, and I would not expect anything less from them, and I would expect a lot of innovative ideas from what they did in that game, incorporating them into Spider-Man PS4. So thank you so much for watching, True Believers. Thank you so much to Brian Ingold for this idea. It was a great idea, dude. You are awesome. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans. Peace out.